How do our pastors invest their time? This is a question we almost never get asked, but it's one of the most important questions we want to answer because it reflects your importance in the life and the ministry of Newstart Church. So let's look at 4 quadrants in which your pastoral team invests their time. First, there's the weekly whirlwind, which you are all familiar with, and that is, you can imagine, we get an influx of emails and communications. And running a ministry this size, there's a significant amount of administration that needs attention, facility and property management, and budgets and finances. The pastoral team spends about 15% of our time working on those things each week. And then there's ministry systems, which is something many people do not think a lot about. The one that you are most familiar with are our new to Newstart cards that we do on Sunday morning and through the digital lobby. We have a system that lasts for about 6 months on how we give attention to and follow up on each one of those. We check the system, we test the system, we tweak the system throughout the process. We start and stop systems, but we have probably about 30 to 40 different ministry systems here at Newstart that the pastoral team is making sure are running effectively. And we spend about 15% of our time doing that. It's the next 2 categories that people are most familiar with when they think, what does a pastor do? You know pastors spend time with people, and you also know pastors create content. So let's look at that for a moment. We do create content. We write sermons, we write teachings, we produce videos, a lot like this one and others that you see, graphics for social media, graphics for the Sunday services. We write devotionals, we collect stories and produce them in a way that they can be used in sermons and emails as testimonies. And we spend about 20% of our time on that. You would think it would be more than that, but it's not, because that is the value of the teaching team model that we have taken on here at Newstart. We divide that load amongst ourselves, and on any given week, about 20% of the pastoral team's time is put into creating content. This next section is really important to understand, and I have it divided into 2 sections, and it will reflect your importance in the life of the church. A part of our equipping model is that your Newstart pastors spend a significant amount of our time, really the majority of these 4 quadrants. We spend the most of our time leading teams, coaching ministry leaders, building and developing individuals and helping them explore and excel in ministry, and encouraging people to continue to move forward in Christ, to continue to serve, and continue to get involved in the life of Newstart. This is a benefit of the equipping pastor model that Newstart has. We put a vast majority of our time into that. Another thing that might surprise you is when it comes to counseling and a ministry of presence, we spend about 10% of our time on that. And the reason for that is the 40% that you see above it. God has blessed so many people here at Newstart who have so many different life experiences and such deep understandings of the Bible that we want people to encourage and be with and provide care for each other, and we develop and equip people for that. I want to wrap up this video by sharing 2 more numbers that I think will be helpful. And that is, people traditionally perceive how a pastor spends his or her time. 50% of the time creating teachings and sermons and content and being on stage teaching. That's why there's a lot of great jokes that can be made about when one of us is not on stage teaching. It's as if we didn't work that week or do our job. And the second number that I want to share with you is the ministry of presence and counseling. Many people perceive that pastors spend about 45% of their time doing that. We are so grateful at Newstart to have a teaching team model that frees us up to have more time in an equipping pastor model, that we can spend the vast majority of our time on leading and developing and equipping people for ministry so that we can be the church for each other. And that is the importance of this video. You are the church. You are the ministry of presence. We are the ones who are going to care for each other and serve in our giftedness, in our spiritual gifts, and in our passions. and our pastoral team and how we invest our time is solely focused to help you succeed in ministry, in life, and through Newstart.